Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our viewers from wherever you're watching. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for joining the broadcast.
I said, hi, dude. I think we're experiencing some technical issues, but I'm sure that she's going to come back. How are you
Okay.
doing?
Okay. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Way to wake up early.
I haven't slept
I
yet. I
haven't
woke up
slept
at
yet. I woke up at
5:45
5:45
and then go back
and
to
I
bed.
didn't go back to bed. I don't even know how you're handling this.
I'm tired.
I'm tired. I can imagine. I bet you're ready. Hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
so ready.
I'm
It
so
says
ready.
live. Can
That's
we hear
live.
us?
Can we hear us? Say what?
It says live
It
on here.
says
Can you
live on
hear
here.
us?
Oh yeah, it is. We're
No.
just giving her time to get back on. I think she is running into some Wi-Fi issues.
Okay, okay.
There we go.
There she is.
Okay, I'll mute myself now.
Hello, guys. My apologies. Very sorry for that. Okay, so good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here today. As read from the topic, today we are going to be discussing the South Sudanese women national basketball team. Um, I would like to first start by defining basketball. So basketball is a team sport comprised of two teams with 5 players each, where they compete on a basketball court with the primary objective of shooting a basketball. So that's basically what basketball is. And I think women's basketball is very vital and important to us. And it's very important that we implement and bring in girls to participate in basketball, whether they are in South Sudan or from over the world. Yeah. So before we start our discussion, I would like to congratulate Miss Aisha, our very own, for winning the outstanding Women's East African Community Leadership Award. That's really amazing. We are really proud of you, and we hope for a lot more. Yeah. Anyway, so before we start our discussion, I would like to introduce our panelists here today. You're most welcome, Miss Sarah Chan and Adut Palgak. So I'll start by
So I'll
reading
start
Miss
by
Sarah Chan's bio.
reading.
Miss Sarah Chan is a South Sudanese native impacting the world of sports. She's a former professional basketball player, a philanthropist, a women's rights activist, and the first manager of African scouting for the Toronto Raptors, who are the current NBA champions. Her basketball career started in Laser High School in Kenya, where later she secured an undergraduate basketball scholarship at Union University in Jackson, Tennessee, where she majored in history and minored in political science. Sarah's basketball career would lead her to play in Europe and other parts of Africa, such as Mozambique, Algeria, Kenya, to name but a few. Compelled by the 2013 strife in South Sudan, Sarah enrolled for her master's degree at the United States International University in Africa, where she would play a critical role in the basketball team and studied international relations in the field of peace and conflict studies. Moved the plight of women and children of South Sudan, she formed she founded the Home at Home, also known as the Pediat Foundation, a national NGO named after her mom that combats early marriages and advocates for education and gender equality. Miss Sarah, we are so honored to have you here today.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Second, we have Miss Adut Balgak. Miss Adut Balgak is the first and the only South Sudanese woman in the WNBA, which is the Women's National Basketball Association. Miss Adut, we are so honored to have you here today. If you don't mind, could you please introduce yourself as let us know a little more about yourself, Miss Adut Balga.
Yeah, I was born in Kakuma, Kenya, in a refugee camp, and then my family moved to Canada in 1999, where I went to primary, secondary, and high school, and later on moved to junior college in Texas on a basketball scholarship, and then 2 years later went to Florida State University on another basketball scholarship, and I played internationally in China, Angola, Israel, Spain, I don't know, all over the world pretty much for the last 5 years of my career, and currently just enrolled into my master's program to become a therapist in psychology and counseling.
Um, okay, thank you so much, Miss Adut. We are also really honored to have you here today. Thank you so much for joining our discussion.
Thank you.
So let me introduce myself, guys. My name is Gidonge Merina Chicho. I am a university student currently doing my bachelor studies in economics and management. Yeah, and I'm studying in Morocco currently. Anyways, so without wasting much of your time, guys, I would like for us to get started with the discussion where I'm going to be asking our panelists here a few questions. We just hope that this can be a form of motivation for a lot of people. And you are very inspiring ladies, and we hope that a lot of young girls from South Sudan can learn from you and can look at you as can look up to you as their source of motivation and all that. Okay, so I would like to kindly start with you, Miss Sarah Chan. The question I have for you is what motivated you to start playing basketball? You get into
Um,
the international arena of basketball.
mine was funny. I was actually just the tallest kid on at the school. Uh, the principal didn't know how to force all of us to play, and I was really hesitant to get into it. So I basically was forced into it. But then I started to fall in love with the game, and it became my safe haven. For the 2 hours I was on the court, it was just, it was therapeutic for me, and I forgot a lot of the things that were happening back at home or just generally in life. So I pursued my passion then, and I started to grow, and I continued to work, and I started to, get scholarships out of it. And one thing led to the other. Got done with my master's, right? And so handling that and basketball at the same time, it didn't work for me like it did for Dud, going to the WNBA. But I'm grateful for the journey, and yeah, that's how I got started. I was forced into basketball, but you never know how you start. But here we are, right? That's how I started.
Thank you for that. It's actually great to know that sometimes when you do certain things in life, when it's your calling, then it's your calling and it will happen regardless. So, like for you, you were actually forced into it, and yeah, it ended up working out for you. So, that's a good thing. I'll head over to Miss Adut Balgak. I would like to start by congratulating you on being the first and only South Sudanese woman in the WNBA. That is such a remarkable achievement that only a few can dream of. Okay, so the first question I have for you is walk us through how did you start this and what has kept you motivated throughout the years?
I think I actually have a similar story to Sarah, but for me, I think a lot of basketball players, it's like we use sports as our saving grace, like our getaway, you know? But for me, I actually played so many sports growing up. I played tennis, I played soccer, known as football, and I played volleyball actually for about 8 years. And I ended up dislocating my right shoulder many times, which forced me out of volleyball. Like that was my love. That was that was the sport that I loved. But my injury forced me out of it, and that forced me into basketball. And so I just picked up there at a really late age, actually. I think 14 or 15. And then I guess I just kind of stuck with it because I was just getting better every time. And then I faced a couple tragedies in my life later on, and I realized that sports really helped me work through those losses in my life. So that's been the journey of how I got there, yeah. And then fortunately, I was lucky enough to play in the WNBA. Even though I wasn't on the court much, it really basketball really opened a lot of opportunities for me, and that's why I encourage a lot of young girls to get into sports. Like I had my education paid for completely, went to school for free, which I probably wouldn't have been able to do without basketball. And then got to experience the world in general. I just learned a lot through basketball. Got to see a lot of different places, and so that's kind of been my journey with the sport.
Okay, thank you, Miss Adut. I still have another question for you, which is like, how did you manage to achieve this level of excellence? Like, not many people can actually say that they've been in the WNBA. So, how did your journey lead you up to that?
I think it's just a matter of resilience. I think African women in general are some of the most resilient people in the world. Like, just from the background we come from, all we know is how to fight and persevere, you know? And so that was kind of my leading force. And then again, my two tragedies were losing my two older brothers. And so that became a motivational force for me to get my education to just become the best version of me that I can be.
So, thank you, Miss Adut. I'm really sorry to hear about the passing of your two brothers, but we are glad that that served as a source of motivation and inspiration for you to keep you going. And now you're an inspiration to many people. Yeah, so the next question I have is for Miss Sarah Chan. Could you please tell us how you cope with being the first female and African manager of African Scouting for the
Right there, or how it
and
feels.
also a development associate for the Gen Z? What the motivation?
Okay. It's an extraordinary honor to be in that position, but my heart is not settled because I feel it, it ought to be more women in that space. With great power comes responsibility, and like Adut said, this is for, the next generation, so that keeps me accountable. I owe it um, to the next, generation to inspire them and to give whatever support I'm able to in my capacity, and just to be an example. I don't think we have enough mentors out there for these young girls, not just South Sudanese. And we have a long way to go, but generally as Africans, and to have somebody that you see out there, you can see yourself in, that is a representation of you. Yeah, so I owe it to the next generation and do my due diligence to them. They deserve opportunities, and so being in this position is an honor, but I feel as so many others that should come through this way, and I encourage more and more women to get into the spaces because you too can do it. And my motivation is just never losing sight of who I am. I'm a proud South Sudanese woman who knows where I come from. Uh, I know where I am, and I know the vision that I have for the transformation that I can see in the near future for our nation and for our continent as a whole. So just paying homage to our ancestors first of all, and our parents that just tirelessly sacrifice. Like every South Sudanese girl, every South Sudanese boy has a very powerful story, and we really give thanks to those that came before us. So it's just knowing where we come from, where we are, and what vision we have for not just ourselves, because it's more than us, um, that keeps us going, that keeps us motivated. So I love this position, but I think there should be more of us. And, my hope is that kids look up to us and want to be like that and do even more for themselves.
Thank you so much, Miss Sarah. You are definitely a source of motivation, and we all hope that a lot of people, young girls, can look up to people like you. And we hope to have a lot of people like you in South Sudan and in Africa in general. Yeah. So our next question is, for Miss Adut Balgak. Back to you. So earlier, as you talked about family, you talked about your brothers. I would like to ask you something about family. Do you think that family can play a role that can uplift the career of their children that are participating in sport, or do you think it can also destroy their dreams? Kindly talk to us about family dynamics and how you think it affects sports.
Absolutely, yes. I think family, that is your first, like, that's your first definition of support, you know? And those are the people who accept you from the beginning of time. And so to have those people like behind your back and supporting you, I think is one of the most important things. Like for me, my parents were working so much growing up that they didn't get to watch me play basketball, but I had my siblings who were fortunate enough to watch me, especially my younger brother and my younger sister. They were definitely following my career. They were all over the internet. They were supporting me, cheering me on all the time, and I think that is a huge role because that's just something that you're going to have until the end of time. And so just having that acceptance from your closest people is one of the most important things in sports or in anything you do, honestly.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for that. I hope people that are watching this can listen to you and understand that everyone can play a role in helping out people that are in sports, even if you do not participate in it yourself. As a family member, whether you're someone's parent or their sibling, you can still just motivate someone and support them to help them achieve their dreams. So, yeah, I really think family is so important. It's a very vital part of sports or just life in general. If your family is supporting you, you're definitely going to do a lot more and you'll be more motivated. Yeah, so thank you so much for that, Miss Adut. Back to you, Mr. Archan. The next question is for you, and it is what advice do you have for parents that are watching their children become professional basketball players? Do you also think the role of parents matters, or do you think it's all about personal hard work in such a way that if it is not supporting me, but I really want to do this, will only my personal hard work help me to get to the level I want to achieve? Or do you really think parents should actually be there and be supportive?
Whether people believe in you or not, if you put in the work, you'll make it. Um, However, the support of family members, the support of especially your parents, just knowing that you have somebody that is rooting for you, psychologically just makes it that much more enjoyable, that much more less of a strain, and it keeps you motivated and keeps you going. I had the honor of having my parents support, and my dad came to maybe like two, three, couple of my games there. He came to one of my games in the U.S. Well, he just happened to be doing something out there and came by, but still, it's support, right? Just knowing that they're in the stands somewhere just gives you this energy that you feed off that you can't explain. So it's very vital. that you support your kids. I mean, sports in Africa for the longest time have been, a thing of leisure. We don't do it to make money at some point. It's you just start somehow, and not every kid has access to shoes, gear or whatever it is. So they come in that kind of regard too, emotionally and physically, just having to provide for the kids. So yes, it's very key that parents do support their kids, because to be honest, if I didn't have the support of my family, I don't know how far I would have gone, right? With just my sports career and just my confidence, even. Because I mean, mom was always, this one time I was out there and I played and I scraped my knee and I tried to hide it from her because I knew how she was going to react. And so when she saw it, she was just like really sad about it. And she's like, no, and I'm thinking, okay, she's just thinking my daughter's just going to be all scared up. And I don't even know, right? And my dad is the type that he came to one of my games and I was shooting a three pointer. Somebody got underneath my foot and I twisted my ankle. And I started to basically limp off the court. And I remember getting to where he was, and he looked me dead in the eye, and he was like, "Don't show them your weakness. You got this. You go back in, you help your team, and then you nurse your injuries later." And I was just like, well, "Who is this person?" Right? But then it really built me as a daughter to realize that when I'm on the court, there's no gender. You are a person. You're out there, pour your heart out, and you die for your team. And that's basically um, what he was trying to relate to me. It was tough for the moment, but then just having that really toughened me in ways that I don't think I would have on my own. So having both balanced out, where mom is like, okay, too much now, and dad is like, keep going, it really did help me, and I think it's very vital and imperative for parents to be involved in their kids' sports.
Thank you so much for that contribution, Mr. Archan. Yeah, so I think we've cleared this out. Like Mr. Dut also said before, it's just vital for family to be there for you, for your parents especially, because they'll provide you with all types of support. It doesn't have to only be financial; it can also be just emotional support, motivation, and things like that, and help someone achieve their dreams. So any parents out there that's watching this, if your child ever comes to you and says, hey, I think I'm interested in doing this kind of sport, it doesn't have to be only basketball, but anything that your children want to do, please support them and help them achieve their dreams. Remember that they look up to you. So if you support them in something, then on with it and change the world. You never know, your child will be the next whoever it is. Like, so I just hope that parents can really support their children, because South Sudan as a country, we understand that sometimes a lot of parents think education is the only key to success, so you only go to school and only study, but they do not sometimes want their children to participate in some of these sports. Yet we know that South Sudanese are very talented people naturally when it comes to sports, and we've seen this everywhere. Personally, where I studied, like in Uganda, when it came to things like basketball, and you look at football teams of one of the biggest teams in the country, you'll find that South Sudanese participate in these things and they are really good at it. But back home in South Sudan, they don't really have that chance because of a lot of issues that we still have to deal with. But I just hope that with time, our sports field, our sports can get improved in the country, and we can also compete on international levels and represent our country. Yeah, so thank you so much, Sarah Chan, for that. My next question goes to Miss Adut. The question is, what do you think are some of the biggest challenges that the South Sudanese women's national basketball team is facing? And what appeals do you have for the people watching regarding women in sports?
I think it goes back to just support from the beginning. And what I mean by that is it shouldn't have taken this long for us to get a women's national team. Um, you have teams, and not to compare, but like you have like teams like Somalia who are like Muslim and very strict in their culture. You know, they have a women's team. We should be more liberal to have support from everywhere. And South Sudanese, we have so much talent playing right now in the States. We have so much talent playing overseas. Um, we actually have a young girl who's a very, very high WNBA candidate right now, a Wakwe, and people don't even know about her. And so I think it starts from support, like just getting to know who your athletes are and getting to know what they can do, and supporting them to do what it is that they want to do. And so I think that was where the initial problem was for South Sudanese women. I think there just wasn't that belief in the women. And I think people are starting to jump on it now. And so they're definitely ready to get behind and start making noise for us. And so I would say that was where the first power struggle was for us.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Adut. I still have another question for you, and it is: what appeals do you have for the people watching you today regarding our women in sports in South Sudan?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
I said I'm still asking Miss Adut the question. It is what appeals do you have for the people watching you today regarding our women in sports in South Sudan?
Start to do some research. We're in a day and age now where the internet is such a huge tool. Everybody has access to the internet. Right now, we have an Instagram page where you can find South Sudanese basketball players. That's at South Sudan WBB. So you can definitely go on there and start researching what girls are actually in the sport, where you can find them, where they play, all of that. And so just utilize the resources that are there for you, and start to get behind your women, start to support and follow your women. Also on Twitter, you have the South Sudan Basketball Federation. They're reposting our content every day. And so that would be the main thing for me. Just get on the internet and do some research. You'll find people there.
Okay, thank you so much for that contribution. Our next question is from Sarah Chan. Like we stated earlier, the South Sudanese national women basketball
Women
is just
basketball is just
facing lots and
facing lots and
as poor
poor
lack of funding,
lack of
etc.
funding, etc.
What are
What are
recommendations for
recommendation
basketball
basketball
and as a country?
and as a country?
So, what priority
So what priority
first in terms of
in
developing
terms of
South
developing
Sudan?
South Sudan?
Um, I think I'm going to start with just generally, it starts with support, right? Every journey is going to be bound to have some obstacles on the way, but I appeal to those in the diaspora, those that are here at home, to just, look inward and just don't give up. All this is going to come to an end. There's some that fight for the cause, and there's some that come to enjoy the freedom. We're part of the fighting for the cause, just the same as those that fought for our country, right? For us to actually have a nation, to enjoy having a South Sudan right now. So it's to keep dreaming and striving, to the players, both sportsmen and women. Keep flying out a flag high and keep shedding light on our nation on that positive note. Um, we are preparing, and in a few years, South Sudan will really be a force to reckon with. We're already a force to reckon with, but we'll be such a powerhouse that the world will have to listen, right? So for those that feel discouraged, don't be, because this cause is not just one person. This cause is above all of us. This cause is for our nation, for those that died fighting for us to have this country, for us to enjoy this privilege of even representing our country. And for the nation, I'd say we're not where we need to be. And I know that change is inevitable, but some of the things that I would recommend is we really need more infrastructure. Facilities are lacking. It's kids across the country that I personally know that are going at lengths, because some of them don't even have transportation money, but have the passion for the game, but want to get to these facilities, right? So we need to really help these youngsters because just like Adud and I started out, we didn't know where this was going to lead us, but we followed our passion. And we thank God for the families that we have to support us in whatever capacities that they were able to. But we need the whole nation to support our young ones. It's for the youth. Um, so I just want whoever's listening to know that the sport of basketball and sports in general just have a power to transform societies and has the power to inspire. And within it is a world of opportunities for these young people. So let's invest. Let's invest in our sports.
Thank you so much, Miss Sarah. Yeah, I just like to shed a little more light on what you said. You talked about just starting, and I think that is what everyone out there should look into, because a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, just that one step that you take and say, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to sacrifice whatever it takes that I start my basketball journey. And also, like you said, it doesn't matter how much South Sudanese put into, how much effort they put into, if the government does not come in to help with things like constantly infrastructure and helping to improve, in order to take South Sudanese to the next level, then we are not really going to get anywhere. So we really hope that the government of South Sudan listen to the people, the citizens, and help to improve certain things like this. Things like sports are so important; they're so vital. So yeah, we just hope that government of South Sudan can help in that area. Okay, so my next question goes to Miss Adut Balgak. Um, what does it take to be successful in sports? Like, kindly just give us some tips. Because, I know a lot of times people just hear, oh, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to be motivated, you're supposed to, work hard. But what do you think someone should really do in order to be very, very successful, just like yourself? And yeah, also, the next question I have for you is also, what can you tell parents that have refused their children to participate in sports, claiming that there's no future in sports? Because in South Sudan as a country, we know that there are some parents that are like that. They'll just tell their children, there is no future in this. You shouldn't even be participating in sports. So what advice do you have for such parents?
So, for me, one of the things that made me successful would be the sacrifice of it all. Um, I missed a lot of holidays with families. I missed a lot of birthdays. I missed a lot of vacations. I missed everything with my friends and family. And that was because I was willing to sacrifice all of that to get what it is that I wanted. And so it's a constant thing all the time, sacrificing your time, your energy, all of that. And also just having a love for what you do, because if you don't love it, it's going to be a job. It's going to be draining. It's going to be exhausting. It's not going to be fun. Me, even though I'm a professional athlete and I get paid to play basketball, it's not a job for me. It's something that I love to do. It's something that I enjoy. And so that is definitely something that has motivated me to continue working hard, just because I'm having so much fun with it. And as far as the parents, I think you mentioned earlier, one thing is you shouldn't stop your kids from doing what it is that they want. You need to support them, because you don't know what you're raising. You could be raising the next president. You could be raising the next LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, whatever. And so it's very important for parents to get behind their kids with whatever it is that they want to do. And that's not just in sports, but for me, I find sports to be very empowering because it teaches you a lot of valuable life lessons that you can take out into the world if you want to be a doctor or whatever. If you anything you want to be, there's a lot of lessons that you get in sports that translate to that. Time management, discipline, hard work, all of that translates. And you learn that from sports at a very young age. You're going to be set later on when you're an adult to have all of these qualities to pursue whatever type of career it is that you want to do. And so it's very important for parents to allow their children to explore because you just don't know what you're going to get out of it. And it's most times going to be something very positive for the child.
And I'd like to add to what she just said. Research has been done across senior executive positions for women, and across about 400, 82% of these women at some point of their lives when they were growing up played some sort of sports, organized sports. And when it comes to high school, the transition rate for the kids is 50% that are involved in sports, um, more so than those that are not. And it's just a world of opportunities within sports that parents need to look at. And it's high time that we start looking at it as a career as opposed to just a thing we do for leisure in Africa.
Yeah, thank you so much for that as well. I have a question for you, Miss Sarah. We've been talking about the challenges that we face in sports in general, but what do you think some of the challenges that women in particular that participate in sports face, and what are some of your recommendations for them moving forward?
Yeah, so throughout the years, the cultural arena of sport, as we know it, has always been dominated by men. It's for me, especially growing up in this sport from the age of 17, I'd say, not really growing up in this sport because I was already like a grandmama when I started. But, it was basically a constant battle, a daily battle of trying to break barriers. And more often in the sports industry, women feel they need to prove themselves, prove their competence twice as hard, uh, harder than men. Women are objected to a more strict lens. You're basically subjected to, man, criticism. You are you competent enough? Are you this? Are you that? Which we don't feel all or majority of men have to go through that. So we feel, we have to keep proving ourselves and we have to keep working, and sometimes harder than, the other counterparts have to get to where they are. Um, but the wisdom of the village that usually raises us, I would say, and especially South Sudanese moms and aunties, oh my God, you just have to have a thick skin. And that helps you shut out all that noise and just keeps you grounded. So, the only way I would say going forward to challenge the people's biases is just basically education and awareness. There's no shortcut about it. For instance, having a woman for a coach, that in itself changes the mindset about gender leadership, right? And so it's just going to be a constant, every day, taking on different challenges, and gradually but surely, the narrative is going to keep changing, and um, women will continue to lead that change. So, in the words of GD, she said, feminism isn't about making women stronger. Women are already strong. It's about changing the way the world perceives that strength. And so that's what we all fight for. That's what women in the sports industries, and I'm very sure in other industries, are fighting for. Because I mean, until today, we're still talking about, like gender disparity in payments in sports, right? And yeah, we understand why that happens, but at the same time, where's the support? You know, A dude waking up to go to the court in the morning is not anything less than LeBron putting in the work. She puts her heart in there, right? But we need, and I start with women, and I point fingers to women. We need to start supporting ourselves more. We do. You'll find a woman trying to go watch an NBA game before they watch a WNBA game. Why? You know? So we need to start supporting ourselves more. And I think some of these things in the future will continue to change. But those are some the things that we do face, but we continue to educate and continue to create awareness going forth.
Yeah, so much for that contribution, Misa. I just think it's really sad that to this day, we women still have to prove ourselves to people or to the world. Like, as a woman, like you said, you have to work maybe 10 times, more than someone else. And at the end of the day, we are still not being taken as seriously. And the only thing we can do is, stand up for each other and be there for ourselves. Because if the world is not going to support you as a woman, then at least let your fellow women be there for you, and let's keep pushing each other to do the best. And yeah, to keep proving everyone wrong. Women have proven everyone wrong along the years, but the world just fails to realize that, and I don't know. But anyways, that's really a very big challenge for women. I feel like women in general, they just do not get um, what they deserve. Yeah, and yet they put in so much, lots of sacrifices and lots of hard work. But at the end of the day, it still all goes in vain. So we just hope that that can change within the next few years. We just hope for the best for women in sports, and in fact for all people in sports. Yeah. Back to you, Miss Adut. I have a question regarding participating in sports in North America, because you participate in Canada, I believe. So, do you think that there is an added advantage for participating in sports in North America, of course, as compared to people that are trying to start their careers in East Africa, for example, or in Africa in general? Can you tell us more about that, please?
I'm not much too familiar about how the sports system works in Africa in terms of just how to get where you're going. But one thing I can speak, in North America, we do have the advantage of being able to study and play sports at the same time. And even in Europe, they don't have that. And so I think that we are just speaking from that alone. I think we are very advantaged to be able to balance both of them out and not have to choose or put more effort into one or the other. And so, yeah, to answer your question, I think there's a bigger advantage in playing in North America.
Okay, and again, I have another question for you. Do you have any plans in terms of mentoring or motivating young girls in sports, like South Sudanese girls who are already playing basketball, or for those that just aspire to be professional players like you in the future? Could you please tell us if you have any plans regarding mentoring them and helping them and motivating them?
Yeah, like Sarah mentioned, just being visible and being able to give those girls the opportunity to see what it is that you're doing. I think even this alone, doing this interview, is a mentorship type of thing for girls to be able to hear our experiences, what we go through, what it takes, all of that. I think this is a form of mentoring. So yes, right now, my friend and I, Chill, she's another huge advocate of women's basketball for South Sudan. We have a group chat right now that is comprised of about 25 to 30 girls, and we just talk to them. We help them through any type of mental situations or anything to do with college, just because those girls are going through stuff that we already went through, and so we're able to be a guidance for them. And so I think I just naturally mentor girls. I'm very open in my social media. When young girls message me about the sport, I'm very conscious to make an effort to respond to them, just because they probably don't have somebody that is showing them that type of support. And so yes, I do. That's how I mentor, is just being visible, being able to be seen by these young girls.
Yeah, thank you so much, Miss Adut. I would like to say, for anyone that's watching this, for any young girls that would like to participate in sports, you have no one to mentor you. That is the social media age where you don't have to physically see someone in order for you to ask something. Like you said, you have group chats and they can also contact you social media. So if anyone wants any type of like information or motivation, please contact some of these people that are already doing these things. It's a lot different for anyone to just tell you, hey, go ahead with basketball and do this. But when they listen to people like you that are already putting in your, that have already done this, that have already put in full efforts, that know all the experiences, they will probably listen to you more and things like that. So if anyone is watching this and you're interested, please just contact some of these people and get some guidance, get some motivation, and yeah. Okay. So back to you, Miss Sarah. I would like to ask you
I would like to ask
some
you
of
some of
earlier, as you talked about the
earlier, as you
challenges
talked
that
about the
women
challenges
in
that
sports
women
face.
in sports face.
Yeah, could you please enlighten us more on some of the ways that they can overcome some of those challenges? Because we
Because
only
we
talked
only
about, I think, one or two
about, I
challenges, but I believe
think,
there's a
one
lot
or two
of ways.
challenges. I believe there is a lot.
So what
So
are
what are
the challenges,
challenges,
especially
especially
sports
sports
back in South
back in South Sudan?
You're cutting off just a little bit. I did not hear some parts of the question. Are you asking what advice would I give somebody that's playing, or business part of it?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
exactly what
that's
I'm
exactly
asking.
what I'm
Because we
asking.
talked about the
Because we talked
challenges
about the
earlier.
challenges earlier.
So
So
Okay, so um, if I was to talk to the younger kids, um, just remember that there's nothing that you can't overcome. It will get tough. Um, Sometimes people won't believe in you, and especially being a South Sudanese girl. During the time I played, I was the least likely person that they expected on the court. I remember somebody actually asking one of our team president in Algeria, "Why would you hire South Sudanese girl? I'd rather South Sudanese men, right, for the guys team." And so they're not going to believe in you. And when they don't, you go out there. First of all, start in practice and keep perfecting your game. And when they start talking the way they do sometimes, is come out and show them who you are. You know what you're made of. So just keep working in silence and let your game speak for you. And don't give up. Yeah, there will be obstacles. It will get tough, but you know what? It only what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and you are just as capable as any woman, any girl out there in the world, and you're tough. So just realize that you have everything in you that is designed for you to succeed. And another thing that I always advise younger people is, look, we all want to go to the WNBA. We all want to go to the NBA. But the margin is so small. Equip yourself, stay in school, make sure that you have backup plan, because it's not each and every one of us that makes it. We all hope and we dream, and I say go for it, but always have at the back of your mind, if it doesn't work, then what happens? So I emphasize on education. Education will also set a table for you and make room for you to make decisions on bigger platforms. And education and sports go hand in hand, right? So please stay in school. Please keep working on your game, keep dreaming, and keep pushing that you get through, right? And if one way doesn't happen, the other way is going to happen for you. The same way on the screen right now, a dude, um, the, I'd say the minority of us made it there, which is amazing. But you know what? She also focused on her school, and she's able to now, other than school, other than sports, she's able to contribute meaningfully on tables that, not so many women are on, right? So school and basketball go hand in hand, school and sports go hand in hand. So keep that in check and keep it moving. Just never give up. It always happens at some point. It might seem like it's not coming through, but I promise you, each and every day you put in work, it goes and accumulates. And that's what surmounts to what everybody comes to see later on. And it seems like an overnight ride, but then you know what? It's a lifetime of preparation. So keep preparing yourself, and your time will come. As for those that want to go into the business part of it, the career part of it, and, for instance, what I'm doing, or if you want to coach or you want to be a ref, whatever it is that you feel you need or can be, then it's just like any other kind of work, right? For me, like a dude said, it's not work for me. I love what I do, and it doesn't feel like work at all. It's amazing. You're getting paid for what you love doing, and so it's something that you could do for free. I was doing it for free before. Um, I would volunteer to be assistant coach here. I would volunteer to different camps, and that's how I actually got spotted. Um, and got to where I am. So volunteer. Make sure that you are availing yourself to different platforms that will, provide those opportunities for you to connect and network with different people. But before then, kindly research, right? Look for knowledge and continue to work. It's only work, there's no magic to it. So keep working and keep acquiring the knowledge that you need within that. Don't be ashamed to ask questions. Keep asking, keep growing, and keep putting yourself in places where you'll be able to be spotted, and it'll happen. We need more women out there doing this. We really do. You're muted.
Sorry about that. Yeah, Miss Adut, I just wanted to ask if you have any addition in terms of what Sarah has taught, the challenges, and if you have any recommendations as well for young girls in sports, yeah, in order to keep them motivated. Do you have anything to add on, please?
I think Sarah said it very perfectly. One of the biggest things that we forget um, is accepting rejection. People don't talk about that much. You're not going to always get the outcome that you want. Like Sarah said, it's a very, very small fraction of people that make it to where they want to go. Along the way, you're going to be told no. It's about how you recover from that and what you do next. Me, myself, I have been cut from so many different teams. I've been cut from the WNBA multiple times. I've been cut from international basketball, but I never quit. I'm still playing. I'm still playing at a very high level. And each year I'm getting better and better at what it is that I want to do because I've embraced rejection. Everybody isn't going to want you. Everybody isn't going to see what you see in yourself. Everybody won't believe in you. But as long as you keep that confidence and courage in yourself, you're just going to continue rising every single time. And so I think that's the only thing that I can add from what Sarah said, because she pretty much touched on everything.
Um, Thank you both so much. so much for your contributions. We've really learned a lot from you. I'm personally very inspired by both of you. Yeah, so it was really great having you here today. Those were questions I had for you, but I don't know if we have any questions from the audience. If there is any question, please drop them down here so that we can answer them before we end the live stream, because we are almost coming to an end.
And as they ask, I just want to say a big shout out and a congratulations to Ayor Makur Chot. She's the first South Sudanese. Yes, I saw that today. I was like,
Yes, in
oh my
Australia.
gosh. Yes. First South Sudanese Australian member of parliament. I'm like, you go, girl. We need more of us out there. Keep going. So I just thought I'd say, hey, we see you. We're happy for you. Keep representing.
Yeah.
Congratulations to her. Yeah, I would love to see more South Sudanese women involved in such but things. Anyway, so that was it for today's discussion. I would like to really express my gratitude to the panelists today, Miss Sarah Chan and Miss Adut. We are really so grateful for all your contributions. Thank you so much for taking out your time to be here today to speak to people. And I hope they really use this as a learning ground. I hope they learn something from you. And I hope they are really motivated by you. I also want to express gratitude to all our viewers from wherever you're watching this. Thank you so much for taking your time to watch our live stream here today. We've come to the end of the show. So once again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone, wherever you are. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a blessed day. May God bless you all.